like to call the February 11th, 2025 Manchester Community School Board meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do a quick roll call. Mr. Raymer? Present. Ms. Tobias?
Present.
Mr. Orr?
Present.
Mr. Penrod?
Here.
Mr. Fearstone? Here. And I am here, and Mike is absent. Mr. Hensley is absent tonight. Mr. Castle, any additions or deletions?
Yeah, I'd like to have the financial report go after hearing of patrons, and then the DLI after that, please.
Okay.
Other than that, no additions or deletions.
So now we move on to hearing of patrons.
I'm Joanne Case. Good evening. Up until recently, schools were considered protected locations when it comes to immigration enforcement. Now, although perhaps unlikely, an ICE representative could appear at one of our schools. Now, it's possible that existing protocols are sufficient. Maybe there has already been some training for our dedicated teachers and office staff. Maybe our families already feel supported with dignity and respect and know how to seek support. But in this moment, I think it's a good time for MCS to affirm its mission to provide diverse opportunities for all students in a safe and creative learning environment. Perhaps in the form of a corporation-wide training, a parent square message, or a board resolution, like some I've seen. Families and school employees should know that every child has the right to attend public school regardless of immigration status under federal law. There are community resources available to families. Manchester strictly adheres to privacy laws, including FERPA, which safeguards student records. ICE officers must present their identity and credentials and a valid judicial warrant signed by a judge that names a specific individual, and we're advised not to instruct or interfere with ICE activities. I was once an immigrant myself. I took the oath of U.S. citizenship 21 years ago. Part of why I decided to naturalize is so I would never have to deal with immigration again. Having said that, I pay tribute to our teachers who are doing their best with the students each and every day, and our precious families. Thank you to all school board staff and administrators for serving our community well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Case.
Thank you.
Financial report.
Okay, we'll move to 4.1 financial report.
Thank you for letting me jump in line. What? Education, please. We have a student getting a scholarship, so I have to go down to Wabash to watch her do that. Last month I was here, we looked at all of 2024, so now we're going to get back into just every month, looking at our monthly reports. The education fund is up here first. So if you just want to start with the monthly revenue, we had projected, and again, we're not going to get this completely right, but we take the entire year and we just go month to month. So our projections were $910,000. Our actual was $931,000. Sorry, I can't look at this and that. And down on our monthly expenses, our projected salaries, benefits, and claims, and then the actual dollars that we actually spent. This was a 3-month or 3-pay month, so we only have 2 of those a year, and this just happened to be the first one. Yay, get it out of the way. So when you take all of that and you combine it up at the top, it just kind of shows you the variance between the total revenue and the total expenses. And then the cash balance down here is your projected monthly balance, cash balance, and our actual cash balance. We did go ahead and put $100,000 into rainy day, which there's $250,000 budgeted for that this year in the appropriations. So we don't know when we're going to do it. We just try to do it when it seems like it's the best time to do it. Questions?
So really for the month, would be more positive, but with the 100,000 transfer, that
Right.
showed it as a negative,
Right.
which is,
Exactly.
so we're not really moving it out of the corporation, just
No.
moving it into a,
It's just in the rainy day,
Yeah, it's good to
which we had, again, wanted to get 250,000 over there throughout the year. There's no set time and when it will or not happen. Well, it won't happen if we can't, but
we're intentional about it, so that's good.
exactly, exactly. Any other questions on education?
No.
All right, then operations. So this one, we had projected our income to be $96,000. But you can see we got a little bit more. But if you remember, we had that bond bank operation loan. That money came in. So basically, instead of waiting till June and December and running the whole year in a deficit, we got a bond bank loan. And so the money is there, and hopefully we won't be in the red all year like we have been in the past. So in June, we will pay some of that back, and then in December. So when we get our draws, we'll pay that loan back. So other than that, there wasn't a whole lot. It did make the actual and the projected look a whole lot better. Instead of being in the negative 200,000s, now we're in the positive. Any questions? All righty, thank you. Now I'll turn it over to the stars of the show.
Yeah, no pressure, but we're all expecting this to be the best part of the evening. Mrs. Watkins.
I told him I heard I was going to be promised singing and dancing.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Linda Watkins, and I am the very proud principal of Manchester Elementary. I could talk for days on end about this amazing school. We have an amazing fine arts program that has state awards. We have a certified PE teacher that thinks out of the box every day of how to include all of our children. Our art program, our STEM program, our technology program. I hope I'm not forgetting music. How could I forget music? Outrageously awesome music program. And we have a certified counselor in our building that spreads himself so thin to make sure all of the needs are met in our school. We have our literacy director. We have our RTI, our paraprofessionals, our amazing teachers who are not just exemplary, they're highly qualified. They are masters at their craft. And I'm the lucky principal. I could go on, as I said, for days, but today we're going to put the spotlight on DLI, Dual Language Inclusion. It's hard to believe this is a 4-year-old program. I take a look at this and I look at Ianire, who's been in the United States with us now for 4 years. She was the one that helped start this program. So I'd like to introduce this great staff. So in kindergarten, unfortunately, English side, Jennifer Meredith, she could not make it this evening. Ianire Caro, if you could step forward so they know who you are. Kindergarten, Spanish. In first grade, we have Dawn Walker. She is English side. We have Karen Jimenez, Spanish side, with the help of Laura Carandango with her support. We have in second grade, James Ely, English side. We have Christina Marin, Spanish side. And we have, thank goodness for Erica Shipper. She looped up.
she looped up with this group, and so she's had these kiddos 2 years in a row, and she's our English side 3rd grade, and Victor Perez, and he also is Christina's husband, so we have 2 from Spain there. And I have to also say, I'm so blessed and privileged to have Laura Kirandango. She is our director coordinator of the program, and she really is the grassroots of dual language immersion. So I'm going to give the mic to you, Laura, and let you talk.
Good evening. As Linda mentioned, my name is Laura Kirandango. This is my 9th year teaching, my 3rd year at Manchester, and I have been doing dual language immersion really since I started out. I was able to be on the ground floor when Warsaw got their program set up, and I have been so happy to be able to come here to Manchester and use some of that knowledge and experience just to help our program grow and develop. So we're going to talk first off about what is DLI. If you're not familiar with it, that can be a little confusing. We understand that students are learning Spanish, but what does that look like? First of all, dual language immersion is a program in which students are learning their typical grade level content, but through the medium of 2 languages. In our case, that's English and Spanish. It's a program in which students are learning Spanish, but they're learning it as they're learning math, science, social studies, their typical content standards for their grade level. And then I want to touch quickly on a couple of things that dual language is not. First of all, it is not a high ability program. Dual language is open to everyone, and we have seen students from all kinds of demographics be very successful in the program. So it's not only for a certain level of student. And also, it is not a program that replaces anything. Oftentimes there's the misconception that students are learning Spanish at the cost of something else, whether it be science or social studies or math, but that's not the case. They're learning Spanish through all of those same content areas that their students and peers in the traditional classroom are getting. So that's just a brief description of what dual language is. And specifically now I'm going to talk about the model that we follow here at Manchester. We currently have what is known as a 50-50 model. That means that students receive 50% of their content instruction in English and 50% of their content instruction in Spanish. And if you'll see here, there's a graph that shows the division of time in grades K through 3. So in the English classroom, they're getting that key phonics and literacy piece. And then in Spanish, they're getting math, science, and social studies. Typically, as a program grows, you see that switch over at 4th grade and the kind of swap what they're getting in each language, so that by the end of a program, you have a very well-rounded, balanced student with that academic vocabulary in both languages. We also are a 2-teacher model. We have 1 teacher in each grade level who is for each language. And we're also what's known as a one-way program, and that just means that the majority of our students are English speakers learning Spanish. However, we have seen an increase, and we're very excited about that, of our students who are native Spanish speakers and who are getting the flip side of that. They're learning English in the same way that our English speakers are learning Spanish. So then I want to talk quickly about what some of the benefits of dual language immersion are. First of all, the goal of a good program and the result of a good program is that students are biliterate, bilingual, and bicultural. That means they're able to read, write, and speak both languages. It enhances cognitive skills. As students are learning 2 different languages, that does something in your brain and your processing centers that allows you to switch quickly back and forth between new ideas, and that transfers to other topics past the language. It allows our English language learners to learn English, but not at the expense of losing their first language, and I think that's so important. In the past, English language learners often have learned English and then lost Spanish or lost whatever their first language is as a result. This allows them to develop both languages fully and truly become bilingual citizens. And finally, studies show that in well-developed dual language programs by 4th or 5th grade, all students, including the English language learners, are outperforming their peers in traditional classrooms on their standardized tests. And then also just general benefits of bilingualism, because that's our goal. Our goal is for these students to be bilingual citizens. What does that mean? Well, it improves working memory. It improves their attention control, more flexible problem solving, enhanced executive function and mental agility, more job opportunities as adults. I know many of you are in the business sector and understand how important it is to find people these days who are bilingual in the workplace setting. And we are setting these kids up to have that when they go out into the workforce someday. And even this benefit, that it delays the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's. And that's just how the ability to be bilingual affects the physical aspects of the brain as well. So not only are we giving these kids academic benefits, but there's also all of these cognitive and social emotional benefits as well. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the data, because we know that's important. A lot of what we've talked about is theory. This is what the research shows. But now we're going to talk about what that looks like in our program. And I'm going to turn this over to one of our committee members, Nancy Johnston. Nancy is not a teacher in the dual language program, but she has joined our committee. She's a parent, and she's a preschool teacher and a special education teacher. And we so appreciate having her on our team just to share those different perspectives. Nancy?
So we're first going to talk about the iReady diagnostics data. And the iReady test scores, these indicate a student's overall academic performance in reading and math compared to national norms at their grade level, and showing how well they have mastered skills throughout the school year. And as you can see, the math diagnostics, students in the DLI program on average scored 2.93% higher than students in the traditional classroom. And in the reading diagnostic scores, on average, the DLI students scored 6.98% higher than students in a traditional classroom, which is pretty outstanding. For the iRead scores, iRead 3 is Indiana's reading level proficiency test, and it's a required test for our state to specifically measure students' ability to understand and read grade level texts. And in this, 52% of our DLI second graders last year passed the iRead test, and they don't have to take it this year in third grade. 43% of our ELL population passed or was identified as on task for the iRead test in second grade, which is, again, pretty substantial and outstanding. So, we're also going to share with you some responses that we got from parents. As a parent, I know with a student in the program how much it has impacted her, and we asked parents just what exactly they feel like if they were given one word to describe the program. Impactful was the most used word, and they were the bigger the words, the more parents used. So like an excellent, enriching, opportunity, educational, inspiring. This is how parents feel about our program, and I think it's a good representation of what we're doing here. So.
Okay, now we're going to transition to a little bit of DLI in action. We're going to have each of our grade level teams come up and briefly share what that looks like at their grade level, but we also have some videos that we are so excited to share with you so you can really see what our kids are able to do at each level, all the way from kindergarten to our third graders, and I think you'll be amazed at what you see. So let's have kindergarten come on up.
Bueno, I am going to try to explain briefly how it looks in kinder. We try to use visuals, facial expression, body language as much as we can, anchor charts, so they have all the information there so they can use it. Music, rhymes, finger plays to build confidence and promote active learning. And there you have some pictures of how it looks like, and here there is a video. So with a picture, they were the ones telling me how to do a subtraction, and I can tell you it didn't look like that back in August, in September, but we are getting there. This is done little by little, and you can see how by now it looks much better. And first grade? First grade.
Okay, so in first grade, we continue with the anchor charts. They're very important for our students, especially our EL students. If you can see in one of the pictures, we had created an anchor chart. We are doing nonfiction study, and our goal is for them to learn to write and speak and do all of that. So the anchor charts allow them to help with the writing and speaking, and also to build their vocabulary. We always give them a sentence stem to start with. They don't have to use it, but we ask that they do try to use it when they turn to talk to their partners, either in English or in Spanish. We do daily phonics instruction to help build the Spanish and the English skills, written and orally. We do small group reading to practice reading instruction on things that we've taught in whole groups. So then they're put into groups to be able to practice that. We work with partners a lot. That way they turn and talk, and they're constantly talking and not just always listening, but also doing the output. And then we post learning objectives for the kids with visuals so they know exactly what their goal is when in that lesson. So, we have a video. In this video, we did something a little bit different. On the English side, we have a Spanish-speaking student that came in this year knowing no English, not being able to read or speak it, and so we're showing how we've done vocabulary and helping her learn to read a book. And on the Spanish side,
so on the Spanish side, I took an English-speaking student, and in the Spanish classroom, we were learning like how to listen and how to be able to sound words out in Spanish as well. And so you'll be able to see that in the video.
Bien, por favor, escribe caballo, caballo. Oh, este dice caballo, yo quiero decir caballo. Ahí está, muy bien. Escribe estrella, estrella. Estrella. Oh, te falta. Estrella. Muy bien. Escribe conejo. Conejo. Muy bien.
Here is the down. Here is the cheese. The cheese goes on the pizza. Here are the mushrooms. The mushrooms go on the pizza. Here are the pepperoni. The pepperonis go on the pizza.
yes, and if you want autographs, she's in the back row there. And she has a very American accent. Good job, Carmen.
Hi, we're the second grade dual language team. I'm the English teacher, and Christina here is the Spanish teacher.
Okay, now our grade students are empowered to use English and Spanish vocabulary.
We said that students actively practice both their Spanish and English, enhancing their language skills in a bilingual setting, so they're practicing that vocabulary.
Supportive and collaborative student learning environment.
We try to foster a positive and encouraging environment where students feel comfortable sharing their ideas and asking questions.
An inclusive learning community.
We try to celebrate each student's unique background and perspectives, and we try to create a welcoming and inclusive learning space.
Reinforcement of core standards.
We like to focus on those key educational standards, and we ensure students develop essential skills through English and Spanish practice.
And fun, culturally immersive activities.
Through these fun, immersive lessons, students explore new cultures, making learning both enjoyable and educational. And then we have a little video here where you're going to see a little bit of my classroom, a little bit of Christina's classroom. You'll see students doing math and English and Spanish, and then you'll see some reading activities. We tried to get some action video of the Spanish students doing some English work, and some of the English-speaking students doing the Spanish work. Was it an accident, or was it on purpose that he created this? It was an accident. So he did it. He means to create the popsicle. What happened to create this popsicle? How did it happen? You said it happened on accident, right? How did it accidentally create a popsicle? Oh no, so he left his drink outside. And was it a flavored drink that he had? Yeah. Okay, so it was a flavored drink that he had, and he left it outside. Why was there a stick in it, do you remember? His mixing stick, because he was mixing the flavored drink, right? So then it froze overnight, and what happened when he pulled it out? A popsicle. It can be called the ones place, or what else can that be called? The units, right? So we'll go ahead and put units there. So units is another way that we count by ones.
Do you know what the best part about being third grade is? When you have a foundation that solid, my job's super easy because I just build off of what they have already established and continue with that, and we have a good system in place. So we talk about their vocabulary development. We still use the same strategies and techniques that they do. Lots of visuals, lots of pictures, sentence strips, things like that to get them started. We do subject application like math and science, social studies. They're taught in both languages. So what I'm teaching, he's reinforcing, or what he is teaching, I'm reinforcing in the opposite language. So they're not just being exposed to one lesson, they're being retaught in a sense. And then it strengthens their language skills. So the 50-50 model boosts their language skills. We're doing group activities together. They're separating and doing more readers' theaters. And one of the things that absolutely sold me on this program was watching what I didn't expect. So watching our students who are not traditionally from Spanish-speaking homes being able to speak and communicate with each other. So just watch their growth because it's amazing.
Now it's time to see how they use all the tools they have learned so far in a practical example.
Hola, somos estudiantes de Escuela de North Manchester. Hoy vamos a hablar de los animales que viven aquí. Comenzamos matemáticas y español para aprender. Hola, estoy Claro, una abuela coge 4 veces en cada día. Si la niña recoge nueces durante 5 días, ¿cuántas nueces tengan en total? Para resolverlo hay multiplicación 4 por 5, entonces tiene 20 nueces. Así que tenemos animales interesantes y usos las matemáticas para aprender.
Muy bien.
Wow, so it's emotional for me thinking about those third graders who were my first group of students when I came to Manchester, and to see a video like that, I'm getting a little teary-eyed just being able to see how much they've grown and to know where they started with me and as a first grade student and where they are now. So we'd like to open up the floor just briefly for any questions you might have about what you've seen here, what you've heard, or about the program in general.
How many students do we have total, just rough ballpark in the program?
About 40 to 44 per grade level.
Oh, okay, wow.
So each grade level has 2 groups. We divide them into a blue group and a red group. So if the red group starts with Spanish and the blue group starts with English, they switch halfway through the day. And we also do that on a rotating schedule so that both groups get those golden hours in the morning when they're more alert. So they don't always get Spanish in the morning or always get English in the morning.
And so how many have gone all the way through the program from the start?
This program has been in existence for 4 years. So our first cohort of students are currently 3rd graders. And so the majority of them have been in it since kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking at about 40 kids,
Nice.
more or less.
Yes, we don't have very many students that ask to opt out. Once they're in, they don't ask to opt out. So that's a good thing. If they do, it's perhaps because they are moving or because it didn't fit the needs of them individually, and I can say that's a handful of kids for the total program. It's very valuable, as well as this team is highly valuable. I know that you're always wondering, anytime you turn on the news, you wonder, about what's the finances? Where are we going with public education? This is valuable and needed and a great program. We thank the board for your support in allowing Manchester Elementary to have this program. It's been wonderful.
Other questions?
Will this program continue beyond the 3rd grade?
Yes, that is our hope.
Hope
That's
so.
why Laura is instrumental. We did snag her from a different corporation a few years ago, and she just knows the lay of the land and how to make it function well.
So when the program was originally approved 4 years ago. The design is to go through 6th grade. And if you run those numbers, if we run about 40 kids per grade level through 6th grade, almost by the time the current 3rd graders are 6th graders, about 20% of our student population will be involved in the DLI program. So 1 out of every 5 kids in our
Nice.
district will be impacted by DLI, which is a very impressive number.
So, obviously, kids learn at a different rate, right? And so, and then you couple that with learning a second language. When they go on to the next grade, do you find that there's issues there with certain students and their levels of the ability of the second language, or how do you navigate that?
Obviously, every student is different, and we see those things in just even in English. Some students are quicker to learn math than others.
Right.
But overall, the research is very supportive of this being something that is inclusive for students of all abilities, and that the language learning is not a hindrance, but it's actually something that boosts their ability to learn. Because if you think about all the scaffolding that we are putting into our lessons, because we're teaching English speakers learning Spanish and Spanish speakers learning English, they're actually getting even more support than they might get in a traditional classroom. I'm a different teacher now than I was my very first year in a traditional classroom because of all that I've learned and because of all the supports that I've learned to implement. So as all of us are implementing those things, these students are actually getting a very layered support system to make sure that they're keeping up with their grade level standards and the language.
Okay,
And I
great.
would go back to the data that we saw on their diagnostics, their 3rd grade reading levels. We had 52% at 2nd grade level passing a 3rd grade test, which is really substantial. So they are clearly keeping up with their grade level, if not exceeding to the next grade level.
Yes. And we're
Right.
able to remediate and support the same way we would in a traditional classroom. So when you have those students that you flag as being lower in certain areas, you just lean on the support of those that can help you. So if it's more of the Spanish side of it, then I rely more on him to help me support that student in a better way.
Okay.
And from the special education standpoint, like Laura mentioned earlier, this is not a high ability program, so all students are included. And my first year that I had a student as a special education teacher in the program, I was still able to service him at his needs, and I would pull him, and I would either, when they would rotate, it was challenging because sometimes in the morning when I had time to work on things with him, he would be in Spanish, and then other times he would be in Dawn's class. That was when he was in 1st grade, and we made it work. We continue to give those services even if they have an IEP or something else that needs extra support.
I'd just like to commend your initiative, but maybe more importantly, your enthusiasm. I really like to see that. I appreciate that. And it's good for us to hear what's going on in the classroom. That's what I want to hear. So please come back. I don't want to take up your evenings, but I'd really be interested in knowing.
We invite all of you to Manchester Elementary as well. Come and just slap on that visitor badge and I'll take you down to a room and you can watch it in action.
As a little tag on to that, we'd like to personally invite all of our school board members on March 10th. That's a Monday night from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll be having our 2nd annual dual language immersion showcase. And that's a chance where each grade level gets to present. We did it last year in front of the parents, and we actually did a mock classroom setup, a mini lesson, just for the parents to have that insider view of what students do on a daily basis and to see how they're actually interacting with academic content in a second language. So that's March 10th, and we would love to see all of you there.
Yeah, thank you.
I just have a quick question. So when they have to do the state testing that's required, do they do that in both languages, or it's just all in English? Or
It's English unless you have a student who is identified as an English language learner, and it's in their ILP that they would receive what's called stacked translation, but that's a very specific circumstance, and that has to do with their state requirements of what we provide for English language learners.
Thank you.
Maybe a fun question. When it comes to discipline, is there a preferred language?
That's another that is a challenge about working in a team like this, and we are so fortunate to have really great teams, because you really have to work in close partnership with your co-teacher. You're not an island. So each Spanish and English teacher works closely together, and there's times where one partner teacher may say, hey, I already addressed this, but I want you to readdress it in English right before recess, just to make sure he understood. Or vice versa, can you readdress this in Spanish, because I want to make sure. So it's actually a really cool thing, even a discipline standpoint, to truly make sure that your students, both English and Spanish speakers, understand the expectations in the classroom, and so we really rely on one another for that.
As well as communicating with our parents.
Yes.
There is a discipline need.
Yes, being able to have a Spanish-speaking teacher and an English-speaking teacher really allows us to have stronger relationships with our parents.
Any other questions?
How many of you have learned the other language?
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, moving
Thank
good.
you.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, moving on to consent items. We have claims, minutes, and Tony, or Mr. Castle, would you like to read the resignations?
All right with Tony.
Okay. I'm good.
Resignations, we have Alicia Griffey, special aid bus aide, Brad Buzzard from junior high soccer coach from the high school, junior high, junior senior high, Dinah Hoffman, junior senior high cook, Mackenzie Smith, MIS custodian, Sharon Heckerman, Manchester junior senior high custodian, Harriet Hathaway, Manchester junior senior high head custodian, Kelly Louvier, MES ECA treasurer secretary, Savannah Hirams, junior senior high guidance secretary paraprofessional, and then you also see two terminations of employment that were noted in your paperwork.
Understood.
And then we have no grants, donations.
Brian?
We have $600 to MIS for the GRIT program from Tri Kappa, $50 to the junior senior high school APES Physics Trip West from Dick and Susie Beamer, $200 to the junior senior high school girls high school basketball program from the American Legion Post 286, $250 to the junior senior high school FFA program from an anonymous donor, $250 to the junior senior high school cross country program for the pavilion from Kurt Briner, class of 2000. $300 junior senior high school cross country program from Jacob Sweet and Kelsey Gower Sweet, excuse me. $15,400 to junior senior high school cross country program pavilion from John and Kay Reinl. $3,000 to the junior senior high school AP biology Florida trip for shark tagging from Thomas Earl Education Endowment facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County. All totaled comes to $20,050. Once again, it's a large sum of money from a very generous community. Thank you very much.
That's great. No facility rules.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
Motion.
Mr. Firstos, a second.
Second.
Mr. Penrod, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Employment, Mr.
Next
Castle.
we have employment. I'm going to read two of these together because they're sharing half positions, but Michaela Monroe and Melissa Eddy are sharing robotics lead at MIS, Kim Hiley, robotics assistant, MIS, Drew Spangle, Manchester Junior Senior High girls golf assistant volunteer, Gary, and I'm sorry Gary if I mispronounce your last name, but I think it's Racones, Junior Senior High baseball volunteer assistant, Casey France, Junior Senior High attendance secretary, Carrie Adamic, MCS food service director, Jen Birch, Junior Senior High co-ed soccer coach, Tracy Eubank, MIS second shift custodian. Shelby Platt, MCS bus driver. Allie Kaufman, MIS intramural boys basketball coach. Andrea Espacet, MIS intramural boys basketball coach. Jen Birch, MIS intramural boys basketball coach. Heather Turfingler, MIS intramural boys basketball coach.
Looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Tobias, a second. Mr. Raymer, any discussion?
Welcome aboard.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain, so we'll go 5-0-1. Motion passes. Heartland update.
Well, I attended my first Heartland meeting. Floyd McWhirter, what an enthusiastic guy. I don't know who found him, but they need to get more. There are three of the 5 board members, including myself, are new, so it was a get to know you evening for sure, but just really excited about this assignment and the potential and the good work that they do. A note on the roof. That will be coming along in March, probably March or April. They will start, finishing up in May. Anything involving building projects I'm excited about, so I want to go down and check that out. So the other item that I have, 2 years ago, a facilities assessment was conducted on that building. The roof will not be the last project. Significant project, so I don't know how we address that, but it's just too important a facility and a program to neglect, so you'll be hearing more from me about that.
Thank you. Legislative update.
Still chaotic down there, so it's still kind of seeing what's sticking to the wall right now. So I think they got some important dates coming up, particularly next week is when you kind of have final committee reports deadline plus second and third reading deadline for the different chambers before they start swapping, and then the other chamber gets to hear that and see if there's amendments. So some items you can see that they're not even being heard the first reading, and so those will be kicked out. So I'm guessing the next week and a half we'll see a lot of more clarity of what's being pushed through. Obviously Senate Bill 1, which is the biennial funding, a lot of talk about that and how you're trying to save the taxpayer dollars, but what is going to replace that, because there are some impacts to all taxing units if things aren't replaced, and that could include school corporations. So obviously our property tax, that's talking about that. In addition to tuition, it does appear that they're looking at maybe a 1.3% tuition formula increase for the public schools. So we always like to see increases and not stabilizing that. So that's good news, at least on that end. They know that schools and costs of that are still going up continually. There's another push for primary elections and political affiliations for school boards in the future. I think that seems to be coming up every year. And there's one on the House side and one on the Senate side looking at that. Some of them talk about just doing it in the general elections. Some are primary elections, so that's still being discussed. A bill looking at chronic absenteeism. Chronic absences, let's call it that way. And looking at how to deal with that. Obviously, they don't want to kick any kids out that aren't there and staying in your band, but looking at how to get, I think, the parents more involved sooner and get them to know the seriousness of not having their kids at school. So there's some changes that are being proposed there on when that first conference happens, if there's any legal action that can be taken, county prosecutor and things like that. Also a bill on, and these are just a few of still hundreds that are still kind of being not off the table yet. Public notices, they may end up allowing the posting of that to a state website versus in the newspaper or on the school district website. won't make newspapers happy if that is the case, but that's being considered. The raising minimum teacher salary right now is $40,000 as a minimum salary. There's a Senate Bill 146 that's looking to move that to $45,000. And then in addition to requiring school corporations to expend no less than 65% of their tuition funding for teacher salaries and benefits. Currently it's 62%, so they might increase that threshold. Other than that, I'll have more to share in March. That will probably be more of what's being looked at, but still a lot to happen.
Superintendent comments.
So just to piggyback on what Mr. Penrod said, I spent a good chunk of my afternoon reading 182 bills that the ISBA is tracking, just reading the synopsis of those bills. Some related to education, a lot related to finance, and there were other various matters. Tomorrow I am traveling to Indianapolis to attend a couple of committee hearings, something I've not done as a superintendent, but I'm pretty passionate about some of the things that are being proposed, and want to go down and at least let my presence be known. And I don't know if I'll be bold enough to get up and speak yet, but they might be coming. I know you guys know how shy I am, so.
And those are broadcast live if you want to see that on the internet.
Right. So just a lot going on in the district right now as far as this time of year. Girls sectional, basketball sectional just wrapped up, wrestling regionals wrapped up. We had solo and ensemble, instrumental and vocal competitions over the past couple of Saturdays, and I had a lot of quality kids go and perform and did very well, and a lot that qualified for state competition here in several weeks. Tomorrow, Saturday, is a Circle the State with Song at Marion High School, and we have a very large contingency of kids that are going down to participate in that. We have a group getting ready to leave for the Everglades trip that you guys approved, and I know they're all very excited about that. Doing some camping and boating and shark fishing and just exploring the Everglades and learning a lot through environmental science class. So yeah, just a lot going on. Dr. Stevens will be back next week. He's been out for a little bit, but he'll be back next week. And as you guys know, we're in the middle of our biannual audit that happens every 2 years. They're projecting they'll be done by the end of February. When they do that, they do a findings meeting, and you'll all be invited to that. And you know, we look at audits as an opportunity to always get better. Are we doing everything correctly? Are there little things that we need to fix? So we always welcome them here and look at it again as an opportunity to always get better, make sure we're doing it the way it should be done.
Is that just an administrative audit, or what?
They usually pick areas, but in general, they're looking at the whole general accounting. Are we doing proper accounting procedures? Sometimes they look at federal grants, sometimes they look at special ed funding. It just depends on what their area that they're attacking. But every 2 years, you have that, and we front load them. But Darla gets a lot of paperwork to them and front load them, and they actually come in and sit at this table a couple of days a week, work some from home. If they need something, make sure we get it to them, whether that's like a construction contract or whatever that might be, just to help them effectively do that audit. So.
Okay.
And that's through the State Board of Accounts.
I think we had a swimmer qualify for state.
Yep, sorry, I forgot. Absolutely. Yep, had a swimmer qualify for state.
Rachel Garcia.
So,
yeah.
Nice.
If you're watching, my apologies. I did forget that.
School board comments. All right.
I have 2 items.
Sure.
constituent asked about an open house for the middle school and the new construction. Maybe we've done that, I don't know. If we haven't, has that been considered?
Just general public
That's
open
an
house?
easy, that's an easy thing to plan. I can look
We
at
could do it
dates
in the
and-
spring. I thought it was, and it would give taxpayers, our friends, and
Absolutely.
the community a chance to come in. The board could be there. I think it would be a good thing. So that's item number one. Item number two, Joanne Case. Thank you for coming. Very well put. Just want to make perfectly clear that this board member supports young people and the safety of those young people in our schools, and support parents so they know they can send their children to a safe environment. Thank you.
Thank you. I should say gracias. Motion to adjourn.
You weren't in the program, were you?
All right.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.